Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with an update video. Today we'll have a bit of a chat about what is going on here in Spain. We may go into the newspapers and check out what is happening in the press around the country, and then at the end of the video we'll go into the comment section and check out what is happening there. Now, as you can see, I am back from Benidorm in the back garden again, another change of scenery, and had a couple of good days down there on the Mediterranean coast. It wasn't too hot, it wasn't too cold, the weather was just right. It's about 26 or 27 degrees, a little bit overcast on the Saturday. In fact, it started to rain for a little while there, but the rain didn't get in the way, which was good. We stayed on the area known as Poniente. We rented a place there for a couple of days that we found on Airbnb. It had fantastic views of the beach, and although it wasn't the most modern accommodation in the world, it was good enough for us. There were plenty of bars and restaurants close by. It was about a 5-minute walk to the center of the city and about a 5-minute walk also to the port area, where we had lunch a couple of times. And I must say that Benidorm is a place where you can find something for every taste, something to suit every budget, and the amount of things on offer in Benidorm when it comes to finding a place to eat, a place to drink, a place to stay is enormous. We found the service very, very good at the places we went to. The wait staff very, very good, very, very attentive. So in that sense, Benidorm didn't let us down. It was the third time that I had been in Benidorm. The other two times I stayed on the other side of Benidorm, on the Levante side, and I must say that the Poniente side, in my opinion, is the better of the two. And I think that's got something to do with the fact that there's a lot less nightlife on that side of Benidorm than there is on the Levante side. Only one person tried to rob me on the 2 days that I was there, and that happened at the lookout part of Benidorm, where you have a great view of both beaches. I was up there doing a bit of filming, and I noticed the guy checking me out, walking around with his mobile phone up to his ear listening to music. And when I started to leave that area, I noticed that he was following me, so I turned around and he was about 10 centimeters away, and he quickly put both hands up as if to say, "I'm not trying to rob you." So I was lucky there, I think, but you have to be careful in places like Benidorm with street crime. Now, as I mentioned in yesterday's video, although Benidorm wasn't as busy as it would normally be this time of the year, it wasn't dead either. Plenty of people at the beach, plenty of people at the old part of town, especially at the weekend. Thursday was a little bit different. It was quite quiet on Thursday. No problem at all getting a table for dinner on Thursday or for lunch on Friday. Different story on Saturday, because that is when Benidorm started to fill up, and lots of Spanish pensioners there enjoying the weather. When it comes to nightlife, it was a little bit quiet. It wasn't the Benidorm of old, but nightlife in that part of the world, I imagine, is going to start to pick up as we move into the summer months. And that's also a characteristic in other parts of the country, as nightlife is reopening in some autonomous communities today. As we know, the nightlife sector here in Spain has been one of the hardest hit sectors during the coronavirus pandemic, and in places like Catalonia, I believe nightlife has been closed for around 12 months or maybe even more, and today it's finally opening again. There are some restrictions still, I believe. I don't think places are allowed to stay open beyond 3 a.m. So it's going to be interesting to see whether nightlife venues around the country stay open throughout the summer, or whether they start to close them down if they become coronavirus hotspots. Now, the Premier of Madrid, Ms. Ayuso, was sworn in at the weekend, and she's already come up with 47 new policies that she's going to try to implement over the next 3 years. Apparently the main ones are that she wants to lower taxes, she also wants to have classrooms in the Madrid community with fewer children in them, and she also wants to increase investment in housing. She has also decided to reduce the amount of ministries in Madrid from 13 down to 9, and she sent a message to Pedro Sánchez and the central government telling them to do the same. When the Sánchez government was elected a couple of years ago, the first thing that they did was increase the amount of ministries, and Ayuso has told the central government that austerity should be one of their main priorities. And one of the big policies that Ms. Ayuso announced last week is what they call in Spain el cheque bebé, a baby check, and she's going to give the amount of 14,500 euros to women under 30 who have a child, on the condition that they have been a resident in the Madrid community for the last 10 years. So a way to stimulate and increase the birth rate in the Madrid community. And finally, the main piece of news that is dominating the headlines here in Spain today is about those political pardons for the separatist leaders there in Catalonia, the people that have been in jail since 2017. As we know, the Sánchez government is hell-bent on pardoning these prisoners. It seems to be the number one political objective of this government at the moment, and the country seems to be fairly split on whether these people should be pardoned or not. The opposition parties, as you can imagine, are 100% against it, and even some prominent socialist government leaders around the country are not in favour. The central government is saying that the pardons are necessary if it wants to to fix that rift between itself and Catalonia, but a lot of people don't see it that way. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks and if or not these people are pardoned. Now let's leave the news there and go into the comment section and check out what's happening there. One here from Toots. I watched one of those walking tour videos of Benidorm, and with the beaches fairly crowded and restaurants having just a few empty tables, if that, I see no reason that Spain needs foreign tourists for economic recovery. Since there are risks with the Delta COVID, I think Spain should close its borders to tourists completely. Yeah, Toots, thanks for the comment. As I mentioned earlier, Benidorm is not completely empty, but it's not totally full either. At the weekends, it's not too bad. A lot of the bars and restaurants are attracting clientele, especially on the terraced areas outside, the outdoor seating areas, but it's completely different when it comes to indoor dining. And I think that's one of the main differences, that in a normal year you would have people both inside and outside having lunch or dinner. And Spain's tourist infrastructure is massive. In the year 2019, 84 million people visited Spain, and that is a lot of money that was spent that year that won't be spent this year. And that's one of the main reasons why the Spanish government is so keen to attract foreign tourists. One here from Barry. Thanks, Stu. Went to Benidorm on my 50th. An old and very well-travelled friend said he was so happy he came. If it's not in Benidorm, it probably doesn't exist. LOL, thanks again, mate. Yeah, Barry, thanks for the comment, and you're right. If it doesn't exist in Benidorm, it probably doesn't exist. As I also said earlier, it's amazing to see what is on offer in Benidorm, and I think that's what the attraction is for a lot of people. You can find cheap places to stay, you can find places in the middle, you can find places that are expensive, and that's the same when it comes to finding a place to eat and drink. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of places to choose from. And a lot of people do leave Benidorm with a smile on their face and are glad that they went. One here from To Be Sure. Thanks for the updates. Happy for the Mars news, especially living here in Costa del Sol with its 30+ degrees Celsius temperatures. I did a hike in the countryside recently, 8-kilometer round trip where face masks were mandatory. Absolutely ridiculous in the open air. I can understand on public transport or busy shops, but outside where nobody else is in close proximity, not worth enforcing. Yeah, To Be Sure, thanks for the comment. I think that the majority of people in this country at the moment are happy that that outdoor mask mandate is going away, at least when there's no one else around. Of course, if you are in a crowded part of the city, you're going to have to wear a mask, and also if you go into shops, restaurants and things like that, you will still have to wear a mask. But if you're out and about hiking, for example, or walking in a part of the city where there's not many people around, you won't have to wear a mask. A lot of the health experts in the country are not happy with the government's decision. They think that it's still too soon to remove this outdoor mask wearing mandate. But again, time will tell if it is a good decision or not. But I think people are going to have to be responsible, know when it's a good time to take your mask off, know when it's a good time to leave it on. But when the temperature does get very hot here in Spain, 30+, as you mentioned there, wearing a mask outdoors is not very comfortable. But as I said, we'll see how the health situation evolves over the next couple of months. One here from Dan. Hi Stuart, any news on the vaccine passport? I saw you could download it here in Castilla-La Mancha from the website, but looks like you have to be Spanish with a DNI. Those of us with NIEs can't access it. Not sure if you can in Madrid. Enjoy your break. Yeah, Dan, thanks for the comment. Not sure what the latest is on this vaccine passport. I know that some parts of Spain have started to offer it, some parts haven't. I don't know whether it's available here in Madrid yet, and as you said there in Castilla-La Mancha, some problems with the system. I don't think it's only going to be for Spanish people with a DNI or a Spanish identity card. It has to be available for foreigners as well, people with a residency card, people that don't have a Spanish DNI. So I imagine that the system is going through some teething problems at the moment, because after all, it is relatively new, and I think that it will be available to everybody here in Spain who has been vaccinated. It won't matter if you are Spanish, it won't matter if you are a foreign resident, whether you have a DNI or a residency card, you should be able to get access to this digital certificate. And finally, one here from Richard. Tenerife isn't a ghost town either, but again, it's only the Brit areas that are quiet. However, what many Brits haven't cottoned on to yet is that the Canary Tourist Board and government secretly, and not so secretly, want to get rid of the Blackpool and the Sun Brits abroad tourist image we have gained over the past 40 years, so are probably not too concerned. The lack of British tourists allows them to concentrate on getting more EU visitors, which it actually is. I suspect Benidorm is thinking much the same. Yeah, Richard, thanks for the comment. And when you visit one of these British tourist enclaves here in Spain, for example Benidorm, or the one you mentioned there in Tenerife, you could easily come to that impression. Let's be honest, the type of tourism that some of these places were famous for, Benidorm, Magaluf, maybe they're in Tenerife as well, is not the most attractive type of tourism, and I'm sure that some people here would like to get rid of that type of tourism for good. A lot of young people on holiday drinking too much, running amok, letting their hair down way too far, and if that type of tourism disappeared, I'm sure that a lot of the locals here would celebrate. So is it time to get rid of that tourism and clean places like Benidorm up? It could be. On that note, I'll start to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the situation out as you normally do. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.